Against homeowners, and it involved relief that was provided directly to homeowners. That's known as the National Mortgage Settlement, and it's administered at the national level. The second set of settlements, part of which we're here to talk about today, involve wrongdoing that was committed by the banks against the financial markets, which caused the markets to crash and which had a dramatic impact on our state's economy in 2008 and the subsequent years. The settlement of that second set of investigations, in addition to providing direct relief to some homeowners and the state's pension funds, has also resulted in the state of Delaware receiving $36,600,000 that it is permitted to spend to remediate harm that the state suffered from the market crash and from the resulting recession. And I want to take 1 second here today to recognize the Attorney General's Office Consumer Protection Unit, which actually led the country in prosecuting these cases at the national level, for the great work that that unit did in securing those funds for Delaware. Some of them are here today. If they could just stand up for a second to be recognized for the work that they did. I was half standing up, that'll do. $36 million is a lot of money, which gives us the opportunity to do some things to heal our state and its people that we've needed to do for years but haven't been able to afford. Now is the time to do those things, to repair our communities, and in so doing, deal with the underlying causes of violent crime, and to do so with a sense of urgency. Although the Attorney General's office has in the past settled other lawsuits on behalf of the state and distributed settlement funds on its own, given the unprecedented sum of money that's involved in this settlement, it's a sound practice to consult with the governor and the General Assembly regarding the expenditure of those funds. And we've done so, coming up with a broad and balanced and far-reaching plan to lift up our communities. The governor of our state, Jack Markell, is not only on board with this proposal, he has helped from day one to put this proposal together, and we are very grateful to him for doing that. Thank you, Governor. And as you can see, there are a number of legislators here today, and there would be more if the legislature weren't in session to support this proposal as well. Next month, we'll be seeking to enter into an agreement with the General Assembly's Joint Finance Committee regarding the use of these funds before dispersing them. Our proposal to lift up Delaware's communities has two related goals. First, to help Delawareans overcome the impact of the worst recession in 75 years on their lives and communities. And second, in doing so, to reduce our state's unacceptable rate of violent crime. There are three parts to our proposal. The first is investing almost $16 million new dollars into our people and our neighborhoods. We're proposing to spend $3 million more over a period of 3 years to fund additional treatment facilities for persons suffering from substance abuse disorder. Our proposal is to turn these funds over to Secretary Rita Landgraf, who's already put together a prioritized list of treatment needs that she would address if new funds became available. We are proposing to invest in substance abuse treatment because treating Delawareans who suffer from substance abuse disorder will help reduce crime, and because it's the right thing to do for the thousands of Delaware families throughout our state who have been affected by it. We're proposing to spend $3 million more over 3 years to augment the state's existing after-school and summer programs for youth. This new $3 million would be targeted to programs serving children from economically disadvantaged neighborhoods. The state already has a competitive grant program that's very ably run by the Kids Department with assistance from the Criminal Justice Council that funds after-school and summer programs. Studies show that these programs work at reducing juvenile delinquency, so we're proposing to increase our investment in those programs. We're proposing to spend $3 million over 3 years to expand the capacity of nonprofit organizations in our state, to operate reentry programs for inmates being released from our prisons in order to ensure that they do not commit new crimes when they're released. The money would be administered as competitive grants through our Criminal Justice Council. The numbers speak for themselves. 2/3 of our inmates who are released from our prisons commit new crimes within 3 years that are so serious that they are reincarcerated. That is not a good number. But we have seen, both in other states and right here in Delaware, that well-thought-out reentry programs can get that number down. We haven't been able to afford to fund these programs as we would like over the last 6 years, and we've paid the price as inmates have cycled in and out of our prisons. Now is the time to try to break that cycle. Finally, we're proposing that $6.9 million be spent on law enforcement, crime prevention, and neighborhood building efforts. And we're proposing that $5.9 million of that money be invested in the Neighborhood Building Blocks Fund, which the Joint Finance Committee created last year to oversee $1 million of the J.P. Morgan Bank settlement funds. This is the fund that my office in the city of Wilmington will soon be applying to pay for 6 new foot patrol officers in high crime areas of Wilmington. This investment would increase that fund from $1 million to almost $7 million and would allow it to not only fund additional police patrols over time, but also items such as improvements in surveillance cameras in high crime areas and community efforts to improve economically deprived neighborhoods. We're also proposing that $1 million of these new funds be used to continue the existence of the Department of Justice Crime Strategies Unit, which was created with J.P. Morgan settlement funds and leads efforts to close down nuisance properties and form relationships of trust with residents in high crime and economically impacted areas to aid us in crime prevention and investigation. All of that together that I'd mentioned is part one. This $16 million proposed investment recognizes that lifting up our communities is the right thing to do to address violent crime, and also the right thing to do to build the kind of state that we want to be. Part two of our 3-part plan is investing in high-poverty elementary schools, because we know that investing in people has to start when they are young, and we know that some of our students at high-poverty schools come to school with challenges that their schools are hard-pressed to address with existing staff. Specifically, we've identified the 16 highest poverty elementary schools in the state. There are some in all 3 counties, and we are proposing that each of them receive $300,000 over 3 years for the specific purpose of hiring either teachers or paraprofessionals to help address the needs of their students. This is what the teachers in these schools tell us that they need. The total cost over 3 years would be $4.8 million. I'm going to leave it to the governor, who, as I said, has helped put this together to discuss the third part of the proposal that involves affordable housing, because he is the expert in that area. But in closing, I want to emphasize 2 things about this proposal. First, it is urgent. We are grateful that the Joint Finance Committee has agreed to consider this plan on February 5th, because the funds are needed now. There is a crisis of violence in several of our communities, and that certainly includes Wilmington, but it's not limited to Wilmington. There have been 7 homicides in Delaware in the 2 weeks since I was sworn in, and the majority of them were outside the city of Wilmington. It is urgent that these camera enhancements start now. It is urgent that summer programs start this summer, not next summer. It is urgent that these new teachers and paraprofessionals be available for the upcoming school year, not the following year, which is likely what would happen if the schools didn't get the money until July. It is urgent that reentry and substance abuse programs not be delayed for months and months, as voices from neighborhoods, from law enforcement, from clergy, from legislators and elected leaders keep saying, this is urgent. Second, we should use this money for what it is supposed to be used for, which is remediating the harm in our communities. We are happy to discuss other ideas for how or what to do. We don't have a monopoly on good ideas. But the money from these 2 settlements is not intended to just patch holes in the budget. And I'm confident that the governor is going to present a balanced budget proposal next week, so it won't be needed for that. So let's have a discussion about how to use this funding and this opportunity to lift up our communities in a very real way. But it is a discussion that should be had with the understanding that we cannot afford to put off our decision. And our decision cannot be to do nothing. Too much is at stake. I would like to now turn things over to our governor, who, as I said, has been a terrific partner in helping to put this proposal together. Would you please welcome our Governor, Jack Markell.
Well, good morning, everybody, and I want to start by thanking the Attorney General for the great leadership he is showing. We have been working very carefully now over quite a period of time between our office, our administration, and the Attorney General's office, and our Attorney General has really focused on this in a big way over the last couple of months. I want to thank Andy Lipstone from my office, who, along with our Cabinet Secretaries, Anas Benati from the Delaware State Housing Authority, from Jennifer Ranji from the Kids Department, Rob Koop from the Department of Correction, Lou Shalero, who's our Secretary of Homeland Security, Public Safety, and Jeff Bullock, who is also here from the Department of state. They have been working closely with the Attorney General and his team. I want to particularly thank Kathy Jennings and Matt Lintner, who have been a big part of these discussions over the last few months in putting together such a strong program. And it's great to be joined up here by members of City Council and by advocates for a strong city. So thanks to all of you as well. The author and urban policy expert, Jane Jacobs, wrote that cities have the capability of providing something for everybody, only because and only when they are created by everybody. And so we should aspire to ensuring all of our cities and towns across our state have something for everybody. Now that takes a comprehensive approach. There is no quick fix. But thriving cities shelter their people in safe and comfortable homes. They support vibrant neighborhoods, and that allows businesses to prosper, and it also lures visitors as well. So the plan that we are laying out today will support these efforts in some of the highest need areas of our state, and it really helps all of us rebuild our communities together. And I'm proud to have an opportunity to talk about some of the important elements involved in this plan, and in particular the elements related to housing. But I think as the Attorney General laid out, all of these efforts and initiatives fit together. So we all know that strong, vibrant neighborhoods and communities need many things to thrive, and it starts with housing. People need safe, affordable, well-built homes in which to raise families. Replacing abandoned or vacant houses improves public safety. More residents means a stronger tax base for our cities and for our schools. And through our Downtown Development Districts program and as other efforts by the State Housing Authority, the state has placed a particular emphasis on incentivizing and encouraging new residential and mixed-use development, making available more affordable housing, and promoting home ownership. Strong housing, we believe, is a cornerstone to any revitalization strategy. So this plan, I am pleased that this plan, which has been jointly developed by the Attorney General's office and our office, would allocate a significant portion of funds, $16 million, toward housing. And of that, more than $10 million would be allocated by the State Housing Authority to fund crucial brick and mortar development projects that strengthen communities. That includes renovating vacant properties and then leasing or selling them to working families, or demolishing abandoned buildings that have become eyesores or worse, magnets for criminal activity. And the mechanism for doing this is the Strong Neighborhoods Revolving Housing Fund, which was established last year by the State Housing Authority and by the Attorney General's office. And this is a great mechanism for funding worthy projects, and we've seen that there's a real need and desire for additional funding. Now, in addition to that $10 million or so, an additional $4 million would reinforce our efforts related to the downtown development districts. $2 million would be used to supplement the grant program, and I'll have more to say about that when I unveil my proposed budget next week. And an additional $2 million would go toward a new program that would provide meaningful down payment assistance to homeowners who move into a downtown development district. And this has a potential to significantly increase the number of homeowners in our downtown areas. In addition, the plan includes $1.5 million to be appropriated to the Delaware Mortgage Assistance Program, which would be used to help Delaware homeowners prevent foreclosures. In sum, we think this is an incredible opportunity to leverage significant resources to improving home ownership and housing opportunities in areas that need the help the most. And again, very grateful to the Attorney General for his leadership. We look forward to working with him and to members of the General Assembly to further improve housing opportunities for Delawareans. So let me close with this. This is, I think the Attorney General did a very nice job of laying out how all of these pieces fit together. Housing is crucially important, but so are all of the other elements, and we very much look forward to the Joint Finance Committee's work and making sure that this money gets out on the street as quickly as possible. Thank you.
I'm very pleased that there are a number of folks who are here to speak in support of this proposal, and I'm going to try to ask them to come up in roughly the order that they might have to leave. We have Equetta Jones, who is a fourth grade teacher at Warner Elementary School, which is one of the 16 schools that would receive funding under this proposal, and I believe that she may actually have to go back to school to teach if they haven't been let out early already. So I wanted to first turn things over to her before asking our legislators to speak. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to say it is an honor to represent our high poverty schools. As a fourth grade teacher, I'm really into data and research. And the one thing that hurts me the most is seeing the fact that my fourth graders, without the proper interventions by the time they leave me, will actually be 2 years behind. And if they continue on to 12th grade, they will be 4 years behind without the interventions that they need to be supported. It grieves me because not only am I an educator in the city, I also live in the city. So many of these children are my neighbors and my students. We have a big problem with equity, and meeting the challenge for equal opportunities is difficult, especially with funding our schools that serve our high numbers of low-income children, as well as our English language learners and our SWDs, which are students with disabilities. The concentration of poverty in our schools generates an extensive need for funding. And with this opportunity, we will actually be able to focus more on instruction on a smaller level, meet our children actually where they are, be able to embrace them and support them with leveled academic instructional resources, as well as extra bodies in the classroom. Our teachers are capable, but we do need resources. And this funding will actually support us by giving us additional staff to look at a classroom that has 25 children in it who are in a high need situation. It will benefit them tremendously to have a paraprofessional in there to work with them on the level that they currently are. So many people think that our children don't want to learn. They do want to learn. They are inspired to learn, and they are me. I am a prodigy of city schools. And to look at where I am, I know that my children can get there, and with this funding and the proper supports and the resources that will be allotted to our buildings, they will get there. Thank you.
And I should have mentioned Ms. Jones is not just a fourth grade teacher at Warner, but I think one of Warner's past Teachers of the Year. So she's one of the outstanding teachers there. We have some state legislators who are here, and they need to drive through what is likely snow outside as we speak to get to Dover for the session day. So I'm just going to ask them in order as I see them if they want to say anything. Representative Bolden, and we'll have Senator Marshall. Welcome. Representative Stephanie Bolden.
Thank you, and good afternoon. I'd ask that the representatives that are here, if they would please come forward. Helene Keeley, Representative Ramon, please come up, and Kim Jones, come over. Because they're all a part of what we're doing in terms of going forward to help our city. I'm glad that what is being said and being done is looked at from a holistic approach, and working with all the various entities to build the camaraderie that we need to move our city forward. I'm very grateful for the Attorney General and the, Attorney General and the Governor, two titles, keep getting them mixed up, moving us forward. However, my pet peeve has been looking at the drug treatment facilities. They just cannot be outpatient. We've got to look at residential treatment and long-term treatment for residents that have substance abuse. In reference to our education, we need to look at having our schools, having all the resources that they need in order to moving our kids forward, as well as dealing with the parents. The parents are a big part of what needs to go forward. In reference to the cameras, in 1996, I believe I brought a camera watch program to the city of Wilmington, which put 10 cameras in high drug neighborhoods, and that particular time, we had had 105 shootings. By doing that, we were able to bring that crime down. It went viral. Everybody has cameras in neighborhoods, but the cameras need to be at the police department and not at a private entity. So I'm hoping that we'll look at the fact of getting them back there, getting a unit there for community policing that will manage and maintain those cameras, and that police officers are the ones that are able to watch those cameras that are in our neighborhoods. Downtown Visions does a tremendous job with downtown, and I think that remains to be said. However, in order for anything to work, we still have cameras up. We have Shots Fired, which is another program we all went down to Washington to see. These are programs that work. These are programs that have to be managed properly and put in the correct places. And lastly, it's not just legislators and money coming in here. We need to look at the longevity of where this money is going and how it's going to work. We need to reassess some of our nonprofits. We don't want to see everybody doing the same thing and little being done for residents. So I'm happy that we're going to rebuild neighborhoods. We're putting money back into them. We've had downtown projects that are going forward and financing. However, as administrations change, we want to still be able to go forth with the progress here in the city of Wilmington, because it has stopped many times in the past. So that's my hope, and I hope that each of you will take a part, not only in the agencies, but walk the communities and visit with the parents and the people that live in these communities and the children that are there, and see what the real needs are. Thank you.
Senator Markell.
Thank you, Matt. Congratulations to you, to all those who are in attendance today. I'll be brief. Matt underscored the word urgent, and he repeated it. I looked through the audience here, and I think I stopped counting at about 285 million of the needs if the group here had their request honored. But out of that 36 million, yeah, Paul Calistro, George Kapansky, the Boys and Girls Club's executive director. What I would suggest, and I know that Helene Keeley is on board, I know that the district council member is on board and other members of council, what we'd like to do is urge that the Boys and Girls Club on Jackson Street in Wilmington, in those high economically disadvantaged neighborhoods, that building be funded in order that it can reopen by June of 2015. That's all I'm asking, that we consider and that we fight for that. I know that Sherry's on board and others, Helene, so I'd appreciate your support, Matt. And again, congratulations to you, to the former Attorney General who fought the fight with other Attorney Generals around the country and won a significant amount of money for Delaware. But we do need a lot more. Thank you.
Any other state legislators who wanted to step up? No? Okay. We have Reverend Vincent Oliver with us, who is the Vice President of the Interdenominational Ministers Action Council, and I would like to invite him to join us. Welcome, sir.
I'm here on behalf of Dr. Sylvester Scott Beeman, our president, who's out of town on family business. But I come to offer our support, pastors and leaders of congregations throughout the city of Wilmington, as well as the state of Delaware. You're investing in people, and that's what we do. Healthy families, families with housing, jobs, opportunities, make for a good city, a healthy community. And that's what we've been talking about all along. So we stand behind the Attorney General's office, and we thank him for leading the charge on something that's going to benefit us all. So we thank you so much. God bless you.
And I also wanted to recognize the Elder Ty Johnson, who is here with us as well. Don Keister from Attack Addiction is one of our state's most vocal and knowledgeable leaders in our effort to try to combat substance abuse disorder, and I asked him to be here today to speak to the importance of investing on that front. Welcome.
I'm not a real expert on drugs and substance abuse, but I am a father that's lost a child, and I've done a lot of research and a lot of work in the needs of substance abuse and what needs to be done in this state to help with this issue. I do want to point out there's several other people here that have lost children. They're on the board of directors of Attack Addiction. My wife, Jeannie, Liz and Marty Perkins, and Dave Humes. Next week is National Drug Facts Week. I want to give you a few facts. 8 out of 10 young people experiment with pot and alcohol. 2/3 of the families are affected or know someone is using drugs. 2/3 of our families. 60% of those in prisons are there on drug-related charges. In 2009, deaths from overdose surpassed highway fatalities in the state of Delaware. It's been true every year since then, and is a nationwide trend. 23 million Americans are in long-term recovery. 9 out of 10 people that need help are not able to receive it, mostly due to the stigma that's connected and the lack of facilities. On average, this past year, 16 people a month died from overdose in the state of Delaware. There's one detox facility in this state, and the need for detox and rehabilitation facilities is absolutely overwhelming. All of this indicates the great need for education and resources directed to this epidemic. I want to thank the Attorney General for his recommendation to allocate a portion of this money to the area of substance abuse facilities and rehabilitation. I urge our Finance Committee and legislators to earmark funds as recommended for substance abuse, but please do not use these funds to plug existing holes in the current budget. Secretary Landgraf has made recommendations for detox facilities in Kent and Sussex counties. I ask you to make this happen, along with our other recommendations. Remember, addiction is a disease and needs to be treated like the other diseases. Gary Mandel states, addiction is curable, and we don't cure it. It's treatable, we don't treat it. It's undeniable, and we deny it. Let's make the changes necessary in our state to help those with addiction and the family members that suffer with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. I think I see Colonel Setting. Did you want to join us? We have a number of representatives, and we're very grateful for their presence from our state and county law enforcement agencies. And before I forget, I did want to mention that both Mayor Williams and Chief Cummings are in Washington, D.C. today for a conference. Otherwise, they had hoped to be here. And Senator Margaret Rose Henry as well expressed her regrets. She's in Dover at a legislative leadership meeting. Colonel Setting, thank you very much for being here. If you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you, sir. It's a privilege, and I appreciate you asking me to speak. I know it is normally the message from law enforcement that we must find the drug dealers and arrest them. We've done that. The model that we've built is a very good model in regards to doing that. We have a 1,000% increase in heroin seizures from 2013 to 2014. Commissioner Coop will attest that the prisons are full and that forced sobriety is not the answer. We are falling down in another area where we're not educating our young that heroin is not a recreational drug. I don't condone the use of any drug. Many of them are gateway drugs. But I can assure you that heroin is seen by our youth as a simple, recreational drug. It is not. It is a death sentence. If we can teach our kids to put on their seatbelts, if we can teach our motorists that you cannot and should not drive drunk? Can't we teach our kids that heroin is not a recreational drug? 70% of heroin users are addicted, or they die, or they're incarcerated. 30% go into recovery, and of that 30%, many of them relapse. Now, the model that we have in law enforcement works, but it sure can be better, and we certainly can educate the next generation. We're afraid to talk about heroin. We want to talk about drunk driving. We want to talk about click it or ticket. They're all worthy programs. I'm very proud of them. But we are afraid to say that there's a heroin problem in Delaware. I'll go as far as to say the heroin problem expands across the eastern seaboard and across the United States. Education is the only way out. I thank you for letting me speak. Attorney General.
Thank you, Colonel. I also wanted to thank you and Colonel McQueen and Secretary Shalero, who are here, for your help in this foot patrol project that we are going to be proposing with the city of Wilmington. We really appreciate the cooperation among our law enforcement agencies in trying to deal with this violent crime problem. I believe that I saw Jay Street here from the Newcastle County Council. I don't know if there are other county council members here, but I wanted to invite him if he would like to come up and say a word on behalf of the county.
Be careful what you ask for. On behalf of myself as a council member, we can argue about what money should be spent where, but it's difficult for me not to agree with conceptually where this money is being spent. Fact of the matter is, if you look at housing, highest foreclosure rate in the state, in my council district, in the city, and in my council district outside the city. We have a problem. I'm sure that city council members and the members of the General Assembly here who represent Wilmington or parts of Wilmington will agree. City's in trouble, it needs help. And police departments will say we can't arrest our way out of this, and I agree with that, but we got to arrest our way into it. And as a neighborhood center director, in the summer we're open 12 hours a day, should be open 15 hours a day, should be open on Saturdays. And so after school programs, summer camp programs, I have to say yes to. And finally, y'all gave me the mic. I'm just going to say to you, I'm assuming that since the governor agrees and the attorney general agrees that this is the beginning of an agreement that there's a dire need for weighted funding formula for high poverty schools.
Continuing and shrinking concentric circles, I wanted to invite Frederica Jenner, who is the president of the Delaware State Education Association, if she would mind coming up and saying a few words. Frederica Jenner.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here. Excuse me, I didn't have time to print this out. I couldn't be more thrilled with this level of commitment and this integration of opportunity. This initiative and all of its parts fits DSEA's push for safe, secure, and supportive schools, both for our students, but also for our educators. Every part of this plan can have a positive impact on the lives and futures of students in our schools. This is a strong example of what educators continue to endorse, the need to invest and support in the care and education of the whole child, ensuring that schools that they attend and the neighborhoods where they live and play have the supports needed, a total environment conducive to helping our children learn. Too many of our students live and go to school in areas plagued by crime. The infusion of money for community reentry for former prisoners would clearly help in making students safer where they live and learn. The opportunity for enhanced drug abuse treatment programs may actually provide services for family members of some of Delaware's students. I think we all recognize the benefits of additional funding for community policing and additional community supports. The money for affordable housing and economic development has the potential to provide stability for kids, families, and communities. If we are serious about helping every child succeed, if we're serious about closing achievement gaps, serious about making sure that high-quality education is provided to every student in Delaware, regardless of their zip code or their socioeconomic status, we need solutions and initiatives that operate outside of the box, that look at all the factors that impact a child's potential for educational success, and that are integrated to work in combination to produce greater effect. Attorney General Denn's plan does just that, and we hope that the members of the General Assembly and the Joint Finance Committee will adopt these bold initiatives aimed at helping residents, kids and families in particular, feel safe, secure, and supported by the leaders of this state. Thank you.
You get all that on your phone? That's impressive. Last but certainly not least, there are a number of members of Wilmington City Council here, it is no secret or surprise to any of us that we have a statewide violent crime problem, but it has had a particularly corrosive impact here in the city of Wilmington. The president of Wilmington City Council, Theo Gregory, is here, who has been a great partner with us already in terms of putting together our foot patrol proposal, and I wanted to first turn the mic over to him and then to any other city council members who might wish to speak. President Gregory.
Thank you. As the mayor and the chief of police could not be here today, I want to recognize the fact that Cleon Carley, the mayor's chief of staff, is here. Also, joining me on stage is Councilperson Anifa Shabazz, Sherry Dorsey Walker, and Michael Brown, and I assume that they will have a few words. But I just want to briefly say that I want to thank and express my appreciation for the foresight and the recognition that there's an urgency to get started, and that Matt Denn hit the ground running, immediately joined in they joined together, the governor, and we're here today doing this, and we're not doing this in June because we can't wait another second. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Attorney General Denn did speak about the urgency. In May of last year, my colleagues on council unanimously supported a resolution that I sent to the state, who was also supported by the state as well as to the federal delegation, to request that the Center for Disease Control to come into the city to analyze the epidemic of gun violence that was happening in our city. I'm very proud to see that our state did not wait until we got their response to take action to address a lot of the root causes that we here in local government, community, and state have identified to be what's causing the disenfranchisement that's plaguing our community. So I'm glad that there was due to have a response back in the fall of last year. We still have not heard from it. The 600 reports of cases that they are studying was the most comprehensive collection of information that they have done. So I'm looking forward to see for them to come back to say that we've already addressed the issues that they find that were plaguing our community. I would like to thank Attorney General and the Governor and all of the General Assembly, my colleagues, for supporting that effort, and I want the community to continue to support the efforts that we put forth to address these issues. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Councilwoman Sherry Dorsey Walker, and I represent the 6th District. What I'd like to do is just publicly thank the Attorney General for having the wherewithal and the foresight to care about the city of Wilmington. He and I sat down and talked about the issues taking place in the city, and we talked about community policing, and I was very, very grateful that we had the conversation about what's been happening in the 6th District. And I'd like to point out that Dan Logan has been instrumental from the AG's office. He's sitting in the back there, has been instrumental as it pertains to the 6th District. But one thing that I'd like to share with all of you is the Wilmington Police Department has done a phenomenal job in conjunction with county and state. But I can talk about what I know about, and that's Wilmington Police Department. They have been walking with the council members. They have been attending council meetings. And another thing that they do is they attend our civic association meetings. And we had a parade in my district on Monday for Martin Luther King Day. Yes, the police served as escorts, but the police got out of their cars and walked with us. So Attorney General Denn, I thank you so very much, and the governor, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because you see the importance of community policing in the city of Wilmington. God bless you.
Good afternoon. I'm City Councilman at Large Michael A. Brown Sr., and I am also the Public Safety Chair for the Wilmington City Council. Before I go any further, I want to also recognize our Chief of Staff, Romaine Alexander, who's here in the audience. I also want to thank the governor, the legislators, and particularly and especially Attorney General Matt Denn. I couldn't believe I got a call on the day after Christmas and said, let's meet during the holidays, because he wanted to discuss this piece of legislation. And I was eager to join him over coffee. And I thought it was just going to be a 30-minute conversation. But the conversation lasted for 2.5 hours. And I left that meeting saying, wow, this man is really jumping in both feet and running to make Wilmington and the state of Delaware a better place to live. So I give the challenge, and I say thank you for that. But I give the challenge in closing, because of crime in Wilmington. I want to remind folks that I always say every now and then, enough is enough. And with this proposal, with this beginning of the money, we can certainly send a message to the people in the Wilmington who is disrupting our community that we're targeting enough is enough. And so I want to thank you again, and I want to put a challenge to those family members who know that your members of your family is disruptive in the community. If I, who love my son, could turn my son in because he was disruptive in the city of Wilmington and breaking laws, and it hurt, but I did it because I loved him, and I did it because I love the city of Wilmington. I challenge you to tell those that it's in your family who is disruptive that either you stop or I'm going to turn you in. And so with that, along with the educational piece, I really believe that there is a mounting concern about education. And I leave you with what Chief Justice from Massachusetts once said, Louis D. Brandeis, only through education will the poor become the rich of tomorrow. Thank you. God bless you.
I wanted to turn the mic over to one last person before we finish up. I saw Chris Bullock, the president of Newcastle County Council, come in. Did you want to say a few words, sir? No? Oh.
That's a first.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm a little shaken. Thank you all for being here. This is not done. We still have to reach an agreement with the legislature's Joint Finance Committee, and it is very important, as I think everyone just about has mentioned, that we understand the urgency of what we are trying to do. I want to thank everyone who has helped us to put this together to date, and in particular, again, to thank the governor, without whom we would not be where we are right now with this proposal. Thank you for being here today, and we'll all be around afterwards if anyone has any questions for us. Thank you.